my friends, and welcome to the brand new microcenter location here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm Austin Evans, and I would love to give you a full in-depth aisle-by-aisle tour of this entire store. Come with me. So the cool part about the store is that it is brand new, and it is absolutely massive. This is one of the biggest microcenter locations in the entire world. And as you can see, it is updated with all the latest goodies, not only when it comes to tech, but as someone who's been to a couple microcenters, it has all the latest stuff, including some things that have never been in a microcenter before. So why don't we start out by coming over to the knowledge bar. So most microcenters, when you walk in, are going to have a variety of different tech and stuff, but one of the most important things here is to actually not only learn about your tech, but also to get some assistance. So whether you want some help with your new PC build, any data recovery, or just want to ask a question, this is the spot. So normally you can come in here and just schedule your appointment. I don't need an appointment because I'm in the store by myself. And what's cool is the technicians here have a wide variety of different tools to help working on your systems. Not gonna lie, I've done a couple videos where I've built stuff over here and it's really, really convenient. But as you can see, there's a ton of space, including here in the back, for all kinds of repairs. And again, you can easily come into a microcenter and have them build you a PC from scratch, especially if you give them a little bit of heads up, they can do it same day sometimes. So it's a really cool setup. And as you can see, there's a lot of space here. So when the store's open on a normal day, this place is full of technicians, PCs, all kinds of stuff happening. So this is the knowledge bar. Pretty much the sort of the first thing you see as you come into the store, but there is, I don't even know how many square feet of tech of all kinds. So let's actually go through step by step and let me show you some of the coolest stuff that Microcenter has. So we're gonna start out with the Apple side. So Microcenter has sold Apple products for a number of years, and there's a good selection as you'll quickly see. So as we start over here, you'll see that we're gonna have the latest iMacs, and not to point out too much, but some pretty good deals on some of these, the sales that you might not see elsewhere. So we've got ourselves the 24-inch iMacs. Side note, I actually use a 24-inch iMac in my office. I have a yellow one. They're actually really good. Like, I love the look of these things. They're really, really cool. We've got the Mac Studio as well as the Mac Mini. We've got the MacBook Pros. We've got 16s. We've got the 14s. We've got the Silver. I mean, look, I don't need to tell you that these laptops, these systems are phenomenal. And if we come over to this side, we're gonna see a variety of Apple Watches. So we've got the Series 9s, we've got the Ultras, we've also got these brand new iPad Pros. So if you wanna come into the store and check them out, you can, as well as the 10th gen. Oh, interesting, it's even on sale for $315. That's a good deal. Now, you probably are familiar with Microcenter if you're watching this video, but one of my favorite parts about having this physical location is that you can come in and touch and try the products and bring them home with you same day. Like, that's such a cool thing. And while, yes, obviously it's great to go and play with a MacBook, you also can go and build your PC. You can go and grab yourself a kit of RAM when you forget to buy that. Like, it's so nice to have such a variety of stuff that's all here under one roof. So if we come over to this side, you'll see that we have a lot more Apple stuff. This is a little bit more on the accessories side. So we have ourselves Apple TVs and remotes and keyboards and whatnot. You'll see here that there are a ton of mostly iPad accessories here. So a ton of different options from Logitech. Most of them actually do have keyboards. And I'll tell you, if you're using your iPad for any kind of real work, having a keyboard is really nice, but you'll see the smart folios and the covers, and you also have a bunch of other sort of cases if you want to drop test your iPad mini. Don't do that, but if you do, you've got an OtterBox that'll take care of it. You've got yourself, oh, I didn't realize that you sell paper lakes. I actually use one of these on my iPad mini at home. These actually are really cool, especially if you use like the pencil a lot. We got tempered glass. On this side, not Apple at all, you'll see a bunch of monitor arms. We'll talk about the monitor section in a minute, but you've got all kinds of different arms and whatnot. We come around to this side, you'll see even more stuff for monitor arms, including one with RGB. Here's the thing, I've been to a lot of microcenters, but this is the first time I've been to the Charlotte location, and every time I turn around the corner, there is more and more cool stuff that I've never seen before. It's really, really cool. So coming down this aisle, we're gonna see more Apple accessories. So we got the USB Super Drive. Shout out to the Super Drive still kicking around. We've got ourselves the Magic keyboards, and you've got AirPods Max. Actually, that's a $100 savings. Dang, that's pretty good. Actually, no, low-key, Microcenter has really good deals on a lot of Apple products. Here are all of the first-party cables, adapters, whether you need a lightning set of earpods or a USB-C power adapter or MagSafe, pretty much all of the stuff, including, shout out to the 30-pin to USB adapter. Look, you might make fun of it. this kind of stuff really comes in handy because sometimes you're looking for a very specific cable, you want to fire up your old iPod or whatever, Microcenter has got you covered. We have a bunch more docks and accessories here, so you'll see a bunch of like good USB-C things. Now, a lot of this stuff is actually going to be a little bit more universal, so this is pretty much all designed with sort of the Mac first and foremost, but a lot of these things will also work on your Windows PC or whatnot. So you have a lot of options here. Coming over to this side, we have a lot of hard drives, same sort of thing. These are designed with Mac in mind. So you've got like G drives, you've got yourself the ruggedless C drives, you've got SSDs. There's even extra stuff specifically for MacBooks. So you can see you get like cases and keyboard covers and some bags that are a little bit more designed for 13 and 14-inch MacBooks specifically. But the idea here is that pretty much regardless of what kind of Apple products you've got, you're going to find your accessories, you're going to find your cables, you're going to find all your bits and bobs here at your friendly local Charlotte Micro Center. All right, so got a little bit more here. So we've got ourselves some Magic keyboards, Magic trackpads, the lovely Magic mouse. That's a mouse that is for Macs. You also will find a bunch of other specific Mac accessories. So there's the MX Master 3S. Shout out to this mouse. This is the one that I use on the daily. But you have a bunch of other options here, including some Mac layout, mechanical keyboards. You got Bluetooth. You've got yourself all kinds of stuff, including the Cherry. Actually, I want to try that one. That seems kind of cool. Now, once you get past this, that's pretty much the end of the Mac side. And now we get into some more of the mobile accessories. So this entire half of the aisle, these are all portable laptop monitors. Now these have become really popular the last few years because the nice thing is a lot of these will work with just a single USB-C cable. So if you're on the go, you pull these out of your bag, you plug it in, you get power, you get data, you get the whole thing with one cable. Actually, I want to give a shout out to this Geminos. I actually have tried this before. It's actually a dual monitor setup. It's not really very portable, but again, you can just have a little like folding out dual display setup and just plug it directly in. But you got some of these that are designed, like the Zen screens are designed a little bit more for creativity. There's also, over here, there's an ROG option if you want to get more into gaming, wide variety of stuff. And the nice thing is, in addition to the boxed ones, you also have some of these monitors that are out and you can actually look at them. Again, one of the reasons why it's nice to come into the stores is you can look at this and say, oh, you know what, I get the image quality, I see the brightness, I see the resolution. You don't just have to look at the specs on a box or on a web page, you can see them for yourself. All right, next up, we've got ourselves the server and the workstation part of the store. So this is going to be a little bit of a grab bag of different types. So you'll see that we have some ThinkPads if you want some high-end sort of professional laptops. Shout out to Lenovo in business black, my favorite color. It's different than business graphite black. It's business black, totally different, very, very exciting. We also have some of the more enterprise level laptops. So you see we've got our Dell Latitudes, we've got ourselves commercial laptop PCs. You'll also see some more server style things. So we've got ourselves a super micro server. You've got yourself this little tiny Dell Precision 3260, which just seems adorable besides this massive PowerEdge server. We also have some actual little mini racks down here. And in fact, as you come over to this side, you actually have yourself a bunch of actual full rack units for a full super micro server in here. You've got yourself the Dream Machine. Shout out to the Dream Machine. These things are great. We actually have one at the office. We got switches, we've got ourselves a UPS. Coming over to this side, we'll have even more options when it comes to the Asus ProArt Studio Book with a little dial included, ThinkPads, and a bunch more Dell either servers, you've got yourself workstations, you've got yourself desktops, and again, we've got another super micro actual mini tower down here. So as you can see, there's like a pretty good selection of different things, and there's actually more throughout the store, but this is kind of like the specific zone when it comes to the server and the workstation side of things. Now, if we come over to this wall, you'll see that it is very bright, and that is because the monitor section of Micro Center, especially here at Charlotte, is enormous. So you can see here that they actually have it color-coded, so it's really nice. So you can at a quick glance see that these are the Acer monitors, for example. We can come over to this side, and you'll see that we're going to run into our MSIs, and it goes all the way down and all the way over. So again, it's one of those things where if you're buying a monitor, odds are you can look at reviews and you look at specs, but it's nice to actually put your eyes on the monitor itself. So you can actually come into the store, walk up to this MSI Mag and go, oh wow, that's what a 1000 nits looks like. If you don't know what a 1000 nits looks like, bright. All right, so let's continue moving on, my friends. So, I hope you're settled in, because this is going to be a long tour. This store is enormous. We've done like 5% of it so far. Now we are to the laptop section, and as you can imagine, when you come to a Micro Center, there is an enormous amount of not only laptops, but also desktops, all-in-ones, you name it. So we've got ourselves some LG Grams right here. I also want to give a shout out to the Asus ZenBook. So this looks like a normal laptop. You've got the keyboard. But what's cool about it is you can just pop the keyboard off, and you get yourself a full secondary display. So it has a little kickstand that pops out. I've done a video on this thing. It is incredibly cool. Like, it's a very, very useful setup. Continuing on, we've got ourselves a few other laptops, including the Acer Aspire, HP Envy, we've got Lenovo's. We also have the absolutely massive Samsung Odyssey Arc. This thing is huge, it rotates around, and this is again one of those things that you can look at reviews and whatnot, but until you see it and you get right up here and you realize just how enormous it is, it's really cool. Really, really cool. Over on this side, we have ourselves the Surface area. So we have ourselves not only a couple of the Surfaces, including the Laptop Go 3. I love the form factor of this guy. But also down here, there's some of the accessories. You want your keyboards, you want your chargers, docks, all that kind of fun stuff. Coming over to this side, we have a few of the other Surfaces, including the Laptop 5, we have the Pro, and over on this side, we have a very cool little setup dedicated to the Intel Core Ultra line. So you can see they've got this very cool screen that wraps around the entire bottom of the desk, and some of the high-end laptops that are powered not only with the Intel Evo certification, but also they've got themselves the Core Ultra processors. So we've got Dell, Lenovo, HP. This is a cool little demo. So this is using an MSI device, but you actually have both an Android and an iPhone device. So you can actually see how they all can kind of work together. If you actually haven't tried that, some of those features that actually work really well between Android, iOS, and Windows these days. Got ourselves an Acer, we've got ourselves an Asus ZenBook. And if we come over here, this is the ROG section. So not only do we have some of the monitors on the bottom, and I'll show you there's a ton of monitors back there, these are where a bunch of the gaming laptops live. So we've got ourselves the Strix line. I'm not gonna go through them because they were, I'll be honest, there's a lot of ROG laptops, but there's a ton of them here. If you want to come up and touch and feel them, you want to feel the keyboard, you want to take a look at the actual displays. And as you can see, they all have these beautiful graphics on them. So you get all the sort of basic information that you want at a quick glance. Price, you can see the sales. $300 off is pretty good. And you also get yourself the CPU, GPU, all that kind of fun stuff. Coming down here, we've got the Tough Gaming line, which is a little bit more on the budget, but $800 for a 4060 and a Ryzen 9, that's pretty solid. In fact, we've got even better deals. Look at this, $479 for a full Asus Tough Gaming laptop. Deals. I know, we're on the Micro Center channel right now, but deals are deals, man. I'm always excited. We've got ourselves a few other, these are the ZenBook line. So this specifically is the ZenBook Pro Duo, which is going to actually also give you a dual laptop screen. So unlike the other one that I showed you, this one is actually fully built in. So the keyboard doesn't sort of detach or anything, but this actually opens and closes based on how you open and close the laptop. So it's great to have a little secondary display. And this is going to be the Zephyrus Duo, which is the very high-end gaming version of that concept. So you can see you got yourself the trackpad and the keyboard. You got your little display down here for whatever you want to put on it. And of course, you've got the main display up top. Over on this side, we've got ourselves the first of many gaming desktops. So this is going to be not only a demo of one of the Powerspec, we're going to talk a lot about Powerspec in a minute, but you can also see that we have ourselves the Odyssey Neo G7. And again, because it's been very thoughtfully laid out, on the screen we have not only the specs and the price of this laptop, or sorry, of this desktop, we also have the price and specs of the monitor that you're looking at. So it makes it really easy at a glance when you come into Micro Center to see exactly what you're getting. So you can just walk through the aisles, see what kind of budget you're looking at, and go, oh, $2,000, that's what I was wanting to spend. And then you can actually come and engage and see the exact specs of the system and the monitor and everything that you're looking at. All right. So this next aisle is going to be for some gaming devices. So again, we're going to look at a lot of the Powerspec. We've got MSI. We've got on this side some of the all-in-ones. Now the all-in-ones might not be the most exciting thing in the world, but I'll tell you, these are still really useful. There's a ton of people who can benefit from having a large display and a desktop form factor and having something that can sort of be set up and just running all day. So a bunch of different options, again, at all kinds of different price points. This MSI is actually really nice and small. It almost doesn't even look like a PC, but it does have a full Core i5 built in. But I think the more exciting part is certainly going to be these Powerspec gaming PCs. So if you're unfamiliar, Powerspec is a brand that is exclusive to Micro Center, which means that you're going to be getting, in most cases, some very, very good deals on a lot of these systems. You're going to see a bunch of Powerspecs as well as a bunch of other OEMs, but you'll see a lot of these. And again, at quick glance, you can see that this one's rocking a 4090 and an i9 14900KF. So there's a few other systems over on this side, but if you come around on this side, you'll see an even wider variety of the laptops laptops. So you'll see that the desktops are kind of sort of sprinkled on this aisle as well as these aisles over here. And this is going to be a bunch more of the gaming laptops. Now, I have no idea what sells the most, but my guess would be, because there are so many gaming laptops, there's a good selection and good variety at your local Micro Center. So we have some Acer options. We have more Asus. This is a little bit more of a grab bag. So you can see this aisle is all going to be dedicated to Acer. So you can see everything from their a little bit more affordable lineup with their Chromebooks all the way up to some of the more high-end options such as their Nitro V line. And on this side, you've got a variety of other different gaming laptops. So if you want to go up to the big boy with the 18-inch display, you can go with the ROG Strix Scar. Or if you want something that's a little bit more slim and significantly less expensive, you can take a look at the MSI Prestige 16. So again, it's nice to have all of these things in one spot. You can just walk up and down the aisles and see 20, 30, 40 different options and quickly narrow down what you actually want. All right, now this section is going to be a little bit more dedicated toward laptops that are going to be thin and light. So we have a couple of Asus. So this is a $239 laptop. At first glance, this looks just as expensive as so many other options over here, but that's like downright affordable. It's got a 10-core i3. Like that's $460 off. That's what we call a bargain. We've also got a couple of other options over here. We've got ourselves a 17-inch VivoBook. We've got some more Asus. We also have Lenovo on this side. So again, a variety. So if you want to go for something that's a little bit more professional, you can get yourself a ThinkPad. A ThinkPad for $640 is pretty solid. You get yourself some of the IdeaPads over here, the Legion gaming devices on this side, and over on this side you'll see even more. So the Legion Pro 5 is probably one of the more popular of the Legion line, and you've also got yourself a display here. And coming along this side, we've got ourselves some more Lenovo devices. We've got ourselves some HP devices on this side. $559. HP Victus gaming laptop, 144 hertz display. I'm just saying, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's more HP on this side as well. So you've got yourself the ProBooks, which again are a little bit more meant for enterprise, as well as you've got yourself an Omen gaming laptop. Now there are a couple of MSI devices over here. So we've got ourselves not only some MSI screens. It's only an $80 screen. I'm just gonna point out all the deals I see. Or at least a lot of the deals I see. So we've also got ourselves another couple of MSI gaming PCs on this side and more Lenovo laptops on this side as well. As you can see, there is a large selection of gaming devices, monitors, you name it. 360 hertz MSI monitor right here, as well as this massive MSI Infinite RS gaming device. I keep saying gaming device, gaming PC. You got yourself the full RTX setup and everything. And this is actually something that I was in the store earlier, and I know someone was talking about. This is a really cool setup. So this is the iBuyPower Y60. So it's in the height Y60 case. So you can see here the graphics card is vertically sort of laid out here, but you've got a ton of visibility into this PC. So obviously Micro Center is the home of building it yourself. But if you want to get yourself a fully built gaming PC that looks great right out of the box, there's a ton of options for that as well. Alrighty, continuing on, we've got ourselves some more HP options. So we've got ourselves not only another all-in-one, as well as their smaller Victus line and the larger Omen line if you want a big, powerful PC. On this side, we have some more LG, so some of the gram options, so you can go up and down to the different sizes and whatnot. We got ourselves a couple of Samsung laptops, the Galaxy Book line. And then over here, we've got Razer. Razer, as you're, I'm sure, well aware, is a very popular brand when it comes to gaming, and their laptops are one of the things that, while they're certainly not going to be cheap, they are incredibly well made. So this is the Blade 14, powered by Ryzen, Blade 16, as well as if we come over here, I believe this is the Blade 18, right? Yes, this is the big boy. So if you want a ridiculously powerful Thunderbolt 5 powered, I think this still might be the only Thunderbolt 5 device shipping. At least it was the first one. Maybe there's something else that ships recently, but like this thing is just like, I mean, it's a 300 hertz display. It's got everything you could ever hope for. Absolutely wild. Coming down this side, we've got ourselves a few other devices. So we got ourselves a couple more Asus gaming PCs. And again, this is going to be a little more on the affordable side. For $800, you still get yourself a 4060. We've also got the Strix GA15, very similar. This actually has a 3080. That's a good deal as well. Come back to that one. We've got ourselves a couple of iBuyPower systems over on this side. We continue down this way. We're going to see more power specs, including probably one of the most visually exciting ones, which is this Powerspec X606. This is outfitted with a full water cooling setup out of the box. This is not a custom build that you got to go and ask for help. Although I will say that if you want to do a full water cooling setup, microcenter will help you build that system if you're not comfortable with doing it yourself. But this is a setup that you can just pick up, plug in, and go. As you can see, the water cooling setup is excellent. Hardline, this huge sort of setup, RGB. This is incredibly cool. And it's $600 off. That's a good deal. It's gonna get real old, but I'm gonna keep telling you the good deals. So if we come this way, we'll see a few more devices. So specifically, we have some desktops from both Acer as well as Lenovo. And on this side, we have MSI gaming laptops. So, I mean, look at this thing, $359 for a gaming laptop. I mean, sure, it might be a 12th gen processor, but $359? Man, I remember when you couldn't buy a gaming laptop for less than $1,000. There's now a huge variety of stuff. So we've got a bunch of different options all the way up through their Sword 17. We've got ourselves some of the big guys over here, including the Razer, which has the incredibly cool looking keycaps. So you can see that they're actually clear for the WASD. I mean, there's definitely a lot of aesthetic going on with this guy. And over here, we've got ourselves the HP Omen. Now, this is the Omen 45L. I've actually done a video on this. One of the cool things about this one is it has the cryo chamber. You have to say it cool because it sounds cool. So basically, this is like an attic for your case. So you might be familiar, like it used to be a common thing to have like the basement where you put all your stuff, but now you have an attic, and this is where a lot of the cooling is actually being done. So you got yourself an AIO that is actually routed up into here, which theoretically will help to sort of separate out the CPU sort of heat from the rest of the chassis. And of course, you got yourself a substantial sized graphics card. All right, coming over this side, we have some more love for Powerspec, and including this incredibly lovely pink and white build. And in fact, if we go down here, this is all going to be Powerspec. So again, Powerspec is normally, not always, but normally one of the best sort of value deals that you're gonna find, because again, it is an exclusive microcenter brand. So you've got yourself, this is the G716. You've got a 4060 Ti and a Ryzen 7 7700 for less than $1,000. Also, this Samsung Viewfinity 5K display, mint. Absolutely mint. It's funny, actually, I was earlier in the store, someone was talking about like trying to figure out like what PC to buy around the $600-700 range. I'm like, man, this G235 is great. It's got a 4060 for less than $600. And again, that's one of the things that you get at Micro Center. You get the choices. You got all the brands you could ever ask for. You've got great sales, and importantly, you can cross-shop everything in one spot in one afternoon. You don't have to go and spend all the time online and going here and going there. You just walk into the store, and in a few minutes, a friendly associate will help you out figure out exactly what the best PC is for you, what the best sale is. It's super, super useful. So, outside of some of the power specs, which again, there are so many options down here, we also have a couple more ROGs, including some of their bigger format gaming displays. So this is a 41.5-inch display, and it is also paired with their Strix line of gaming PCs. And then if we come over to this side, we've got another ROG display. So this is the ROG Swift, and it is paired with this little guy. Look at this, that's a little guy, except this has a full RTX 4070 aside and a Core i9. There's a lot of cool stuff over here. Okay, so as you can probably tell from the background of a lot of these shots, we have a huge number of monitors. So the monitor walls go from here all the way around and all the way down here. And again, you can quickly see with the color coding that my red RGB denotes these are the Asus and the RG monitors. We can come down here to see Samsung and all kinds of varieties. And again, this is great because you can really get your eyes on the monitors before you want to buy it. And on top of that, we also have a bunch of Dell displays over here, which is a perfect segue to our Dell corner. So this is actually one of the things that I don't think is in any other Micro Center right now. This is the first time at least I've seen it. So this is a dedicated Dell area, which has everything you need from Dell, Alienware, and in fact, some really cool little demos. So you can see right here that there's a device that has been deconstructed so you can see exactly how it's built. It's really cool. You can see yourself the cooling assembly, you can see the battery, you can see the RAM, you can see the dummy display. It's really, really neat to get a little bit of a look at this. And if we come down this side, you'll see some more of the Dell displays. So you have a wide variety of these. Some of these are typically made a little bit more for office use, but if you come over to this side, you're gonna find the Alienware, which of course is Dell's gaming brand. So you get yourself the Dell Alienware, hit me up if you want. No, you guys just have that for free. This is the 14. Personally, I love the 14-inch form factors. I feel like these are such powerful little laptops that also have a lot of capability, but you got some of the Alienware displays, which are a little bit more meant for gaming. Over here, look how tiny this is. This is what they call the Optiplex Micro. It's so small. That's just a little guy. It's just a little guy. I mean, this is like also a little guy, but this is like a really little guy. Sorry, I just get excited by these things. We also have some other things over here. So these are the Dell Precision mobile workstations. So again, a lot of people use gaming laptops for professional work, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you can obviously play games on your Dell Precision workstation, but these have a lot more features specifically designed with stuff such as an RTX 2000 instead of a normal gaming GPU and whatnot. These are just a little bit more optimized for creative and professional workflows. We also have a couple of other different devices. So these are actually the XPS systems, which are a wide variety of different options inside the Dell lineup. So there are a lot of Dell laptops that are XPS branded, but these are actually the XPS desktops. Alrighty, coming past all the little guys and the really little guys, we got ourselves a reminder to be more alien. Have you been a little bit more alien lately? You probably should be. We've got ourselves a Dell Inspiron, and we have a few more devices. So these are some more optiplexes. I mean, this is normally a little computer, but after that, I can call this a medium guy. We have some of the Inspiron line, which is a little bit more meant for consumers. So these are the standard laptops that are going to be very popular in the Dell lineup, as well as some of the Inspiron desktops. Over on this side, we have some more Inspiron options, including some more that are a little bit on the more affordable side. We have an all-in-one, we have some more of the laptops, and another one of these very cool demos. So this, I believe, is an XPS 13. And again, you can just kind of see what it really takes to sort of build one of these and just how incredibly densely packed it is between the fans, between the cooling, between the battery. There's a lot of stuff that goes into a very, very tiny laptop. Now this side is dedicated to more of the professional side of Dell. So these are the Dell Latitudes. So again, these are really meant to be used for companies, for professional use. You can imagine that I can only assume a lot of companies will come into microcenter and say, hey, I need 100 of these things. I'm going to deploy it to my fleet tomorrow. Microcenter's got you covered. We got ourselves a Dell Optiplex with a very substantial speaker bar, as well as some more of the Dell Latitudes, which are their commercial laptop computers. And that, my friends, is a look at the Dell corner. Next up, we have the 3D printing section. Now, I'll be honest with you, not that long ago, you would come into a microcenter, and there were definitely like 3D printers and filaments, but there was certainly a smaller selection than there is today, especially here at the Charlotte store, which has one of the coolest setups for 3D printing I have ever seen. So up here we have some of the demos. So when the stores open, normally these are actually live printing. So you can actually see how like this one, which is look, I'll be honest with you, I'm not like super into 3D printing, but I can absolutely appreciate it when you've got all of it sort of being fed through. You can see the speed of these printers, especially I saw this X1 Carbon absolutely ripping earlier. It was absolutely just cranking. It's really cool to be able to see this stuff in person because you can get a quick glance at how some of the more affordable printers are certainly doing their job. But when you get to the high-end stuff, it's just like, it's the technical term. I don't know, it's not a technical term, but I just am going to make that up. So we've got a ton of options here. So we've got ourselves some of the slightly more affordable options with the Creality Ender 3. We also have some of the other options when it comes to like the Anycubic models and whatnot. And again, because when you come into the store normally and they're all running, you can see, actually this one's still going right here. It's a little hard to see, but you can just see it just absolutely just spinning around there and printing out all of these random bits and bobs. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be, but it looks real high quality, and it was custom 3D printed on one of these guys. Now, on top of that, you have a couple of bits of filament up top, but let me show you what is absolutely the coolest thing I've seen in a microcenter in a very long time. So there's a lot of filament, you know, there's some on the aisles, and you can see that there's some shelves here and some over here, but this is not what it appears. So if you come over and pull out a sample from the little setup over here and scan it with this kiosk, what you'll see is that it should direct me to wherever it is on this massive shelf. Look at the height of this setup. It is absolutely filled with filament. Haha, filled with filament, get it? It's a pun. So now what I can do is, it was direct me to right here where I can find the exact same filament that I was looking for. So it's a really cool setup where you can see that there's a huge number of different options. And because you got not only the shelves that will rotate, but also this little LED, you can quickly be guided to exactly the sample that you're looking for. Coming over to this side, we've got even more options. So this is a little bit more on the accessories side. So especially if you want to either repair, upgrade, customize your printer, you have a ton of options on this side, as well as you have a few other options, including the Ender 3, which is one of the most affordable printers that you can find for $100. Really solid deal. Coming over to this side again, we can see some of the already built 3D printer models that have been designed meticulously and printed here in the store. And if you come over to this side, you'll see my best friend, Shaquille O'Neal. He's life-size, met him in person, can confirm that I'm about 2/3 of a Shaq, which is more than I could say about, I don't know, other people. He's just really tall. He's really nice. Anyway, talking about printers, how about we look at 2D printers? Now, while they might not be as exciting, these are important. And because you're here at your Micro Center, there are a ton of options out here. So, over on this side, we have some Brother printers. We also have a bunch of Epson options. And as you can see, we have everything from sort of the more standard entry-level stuff all the way up to something like this, which is a full photo printer that will deliver some beautiful images. You can also see a bunch of their more entry-level options up to the stuff with lasers. You've got scanners. You've got yourself a fax machine if you need to fax stuff. I'm sorry if you have to fax stuff all the time. I don't know why we still have to fax, but still a thing. We've got label printers over on this side. And if we rotate around over to here, you'll see even more. So these are HP options. And again, a lot of these are a little bit more on the professional side. So a lot of the laser printers, I'll tell you, laser printers are really good. You should probably, I mean, it's always hard to justify spending a large amount of money on a printer, but I'll tell you what, having a printer that works is always great in laser printers. Great. Anyway, we got some more Canon options here again, HP over on this side, and pretty much no matter what your budget is, you'll be able to find something, including this blue. Wow, why does a printer look so good? I feel like printers don't need to look good, but that one looks great. Alrighty, coming over to this side, we're getting into our TV zone. Now, if you're unfamiliar with OLED, stand in front of this for a minute, and you'll see all you need to see. So OLED, of course, is a technology that has, instead of a backlight, each individual pixel is lit. So it really gives you pretty much perfect contrast, beautiful, beautiful sort of image quality. I have an OLED, I actually have two OLEDs in my house. We have them at the office. OLEDs are absolutely meant. And you can see in person what this looks like. You also have yourself an LG soundbar. If you come this direction, you'll see a bunch of other TVs. In fact, there's a lot of TVs that are here at Micro Center. So you've got yourself some of the LCDs on this side, which are of course going to be a lot more cost effective than the OLEDs that are on this side, but you've got your options. And again, you can quickly see what kind of image quality and price and whatnot that you're working with. You also can see that you get yourself a 65-inch TV for $300. It might not be an OLED, but that's a lot of pixels per inch per dollar. Pixels per inch per dollar. We're going to go with that. That seems like a metric. I'm just going to make that up. We have the LG wall over here, again, highlighting the beautiful image quality of OLED. You can see that the LG team and Micro Center have worked together to make this a beautiful setup with all of these TVs. So you can see everything from the 55, the 65. This is a whopping 83-inch OLED. It looks absolutely stunning. Like, I could just stare at this all day. Like, mwah. I need an 83-inch in my house, actually. That would be good. I need to, I'll call some favors, see if I can borrow an 83 for a little bit. We have more TVs as well as some sound bars. So again, you get a good variety of different options here. And it's crazy. $400 for a 65-inch TV. Man, we're living it up over here at Micro Center. We got all the options in the world. So we want to come this direction. We'll see that there's even more, including not only some of the options here, including what I didn't even realize, side tangent, Inland actually make cases. So Inland is another of the Micro Center exclusive brands. They've got this little end cap here, $50 case, man. I want to use this for my next PC build. So if we want to go this direction, you'll see that not only are there additional PC cases, but when we come down this way, you'll see a lot more options when it comes specifically to the TVs. So this is more meant for, in addition to some of the actual displays, more like stands, mounts, and various bits and bobs that you'll want to properly mount your TV, whether you have studs, whether you need something that's for a 90-inch TV or something that's smaller. You've got a lot of options here. And this is something that you're probably going to need when you're trying to set up your TV and you realize you forgot the mount, and you run down to your friendly local Micro Center, grab one, and you'll be good to go in no time. We've got some Samsung TVs over on this side, including some of their beautiful looking OLEDs. And if we come this direction, you'll see even more options when it comes to the TV side. So we have ourselves the Freestyle projector, which I know are very popular. We actually have some of the Fire Sticks and Rokus, as well as some universal remotes. Man, universal remotes, they're so useful. I feel like I always have to keep one around because it'll be like some weird TV or some box I don't know that I have the thing for. I'm like, oh, boom. Oh, look at this. You got the Shield TV over here. I didn't even realize you had this over here. That's neat. So we got that. We've got a bunch of projectors. We have LED light strips on this side. Some cool bits and bobs like downscaling, so you can go from HD to AV if you want to connect to an old TV, or you can go the other direction if you have like an older school, like I don't know, Playstation or something that you want to plug into a modern TV. We have HDMI switchers, we have antennas, we have more and more Govee, as well as we've got some Philips Hue. Basically, this is a great spot to help build out your smart home, specifically when it comes to the aesthetics. And we have a few additional things such as some TV mounts over here. Coming onto this side, we've got ourselves some Chromecasts. I'll just give it a shout out because personally I love the Chromecast. I actually use one of these at my house at home, and it's at my house at home. Not sure where else my house would be. Chromecasts are solid, but you've also got the Roku options here. And if you come down this aisle, this is going to be not only a little bit more smart home stuff, but mostly when it comes to security. So you can see here that there's a variety. So if we want something like a Ring kit, you can see that we can buy this kit. It's pretty much good to go. You install it in your setup. You can buy individual cameras. But on top of that, you can actually build it yourself. So you can see here that if I come over to, I don't know, this side, I could actually pick my individual cameras, and maybe I want to get a Wi-Fi camera, maybe want to get a dome, maybe want to get actually something that's hardlined in. I can basically build whatever I'm looking for with a full kit, Wi-Fi, wired, or I just want to buy a bunch of cameras and deal with it myself. You can come to Micro Center and do that. Now, I think most people are probably going to want to get something that's more akin to this, which is a full setup. This has 6 cameras built in as well as the DVR. So especially if you already got wiring at your house, you could run this very, very easily. But if you want to get something that's a little bit more user-friendly, you come over here and get something like a video doorbell. It will be a lot simpler, or one of these little Wise cams, which are incredibly tiny and importantly, very affordable. So again, just one of those things where you come to Micro Center and you can get a variety of different bits and bobs based on what you're looking for, including all kinds of DC power connectors. There's a huge, huge variety of stuff in the store. That's one of the things I always appreciate. Every time I walk through a Micro Center, I'm finding something new I didn't know was existing beforehand. All right. This is Audio Land. So there's a lot of different stuff here, if I'm honest with you. So you got high-end speakers. I mean, these are reference desktop speakers. You've also got yourself sound bars, some slightly smaller speakers that are meant for more like standard sort of setups. But then something that I didn't realize until we were right about to start filming this video, Micro Center sell actual turntables. So you can actually have these Audio-Technica turntables. You can come all the way over here to a Victrola with Sonos built in. They even sell the Soundburger. The Soundburger at a Micro Center. This is such a cool setup. This is like a vertical turntable. So cool. We've got a bunch of other options here, including some bits and bobs for like preamps and whatnot. Like if you're into audio, there's a surprising amount of stuff at Micro Center. Or if you just want a simple basic speaker setup to put on your desk, you can grab that as well. Alrighty, coming over to this side, we've got even more speakers, including the Pebbles, which have been a classic forever. And this is a little bit more of the normal consumer audio. So we have a bunch of JBL Bluetooth speakers. Again, you can try all of them. I won't do it because I don't want to be loud in the store, but you've got those. You have some JBL options, some Sony, some Bose, some Sonos. Shout out Sonos. They've been really killing it lately. We have some Soundcore options. Audio-Technica has a wireless speaker. Didn't even know that existed until I walk over here now. If you want to party, well, this is a party box, and no party is complete without a party box. Otherwise, it's a non-party box party. I don't want to go to a non-party box party. There's even more over here, including an even bigger party box. That one's even bigger, 800 watts. That's 790 more watts than my parties have. We've got some additional options, including SteelSeries. And then if we come to this side, this, my friends, is my favorite part of Micro Center, which is build your own. If you are ever interested in building yourself a PC, Micro Center has you covered. All of these aisles, from here all the way to the end of the store, these are all chock full of PC components. Everything you could ever hope for, whether you want to build your very first PC on a budget, or you want to go full out hardline water cooling and the full works, you will be able to find it at Micro Center. So let's take a look, shall we? Let's start out with cases. So you've got this end cap with a few of the more popular options, including this Montech King 95, which has a very cool panoramic look at your PC, but there is so much more than that. So if you come this direction, you'll see that there's a variety to choose from. Whether you want something that's tiny and portable, whether you want something that's a full-size chassis, or whether you want a full 4U server rack chassis, I mean, technically it's a case and it's servers or PC, so it counts. There's a ton of options here. So you got a ton of options up on the shelf, a ton of options over on this direction. You can even see you got yourself a little sort of wall mount cabinet if you want to sort of build yourself a little server setup. Like, there's so many options at Micro Center. And the nice thing about it is that you got, again, a one-stop shop. So if you want to find yourself some fancy high-end looking cases that are going to wow and shock, or you want something that's a little bit more on the budget side, you've got it covered. So coming this side, we've got ourselves some deep cool options. There's a ton of stuff, including up here, we've got some more of the inland options as well as Silverstone. I mean, look, I could be here all day, but the idea when it comes to building your PC, especially when it comes to the case, this is one of the best places that you can customize things. So you can really make sure that the PC is your own. And whether you want to go with something like the 4000D with a ton of airflow, or you want something a little bit more splashy like this thermal take, you can really get a sort of good sense for the aesthetic of the PC. Obviously, you can build it however you want on the inside, go with RGB and all that kind of stuff, but the case is really sort of the most important part of the aesthetic, because it's really that sort of very much first impression. We've got some of the NZXT options here. I know these have always been very, very popular, and become this direction, we're going to see even more. So we've got some additional, actually this is a cool one. So this is actually one of the NZXT cases that has the RGB fans already built in. So obviously there's no PC in here. You can start to get a little bit of a look with all of that glass of what you're going to be getting with the aesthetics of the system. Same thing, we come over to the Alienware. We've got ourselves the Unifans, which have not only screens, but also these very sort of unified RGBs. So you've got a good sort of selection of different ways that you can customize. And I'll say that if you really want to go into RGB and customization, so many ways you could tackle it. Like, I mean, you know, you look at the case as like your canvas, right? It's like the very beginning of how you can build your system. Again, cases and cases. I couldn't even begin to show you all of them. I mean, they're just absolutely everywhere, including if you want a absolutely massive unit. This is the V3000 Plus. I feel like I could live in here. I think if I tried, you shouldn't do this, don't try this at home. I think I could fit. That looks like roughly Austin sized. What kind of PC you're gonna build and fill that up? I am afraid to think. But you know what? If you wanna build a little guy, you wanna build the biggest of big guys, well, don't you say it? Micro Center's got you covered. The back wall has a Again, the back wall has a ton of options for cases, as well as some of these fractal cases. These have actually gotten incredibly popular lately, because you can see that they really blend a great aesthetic of some real wood, especially the little Terra. Look how cool this looks. It's just a little guy. It might not be the easiest thing in the world to build, but once you get it done, I mean, like, that's so cool. So these are neat. Come this direction, you'll see even more options for not only cases, which, I mean, look at this. I mean, this is just glass. Like, there's like a case in there, but like, it is glass on glass on glass. You get yourself the mirrored finish of this Lian Like, the Lian line has been incredibly popular for a long time, but these are some of the better ones. And over on this side, you're gonna start to see some of the accessories. One of the things I love about Micro Center, one of the many things, is the variety of different things that you'll be able to pick from. So you can see some simple stuff like, oh, I just want like maybe like a green power cable, or I want to get like an extender or whatever to try to maybe wrap my GPU around or do a vertical mount. But if you come over here, you'll see some more of the more unusual things. So you can find all kinds of stuff like 6 to 8 pin adapters, SATA adapters, a PCI 3.0 to a Razer card, if you will maybe do some mining or something. You've got extension kits, which are a great way to change the aesthetic of your power supply. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We've got ourselves some of the very many amounts of RGB that are inside the store. And again, more cases over on this side as well. Like, I mean, it is almost absurd, the level of cases and accessories and options that you have at Micro Center, including one of several areas that you can purchase a power supply. So I will say that the wall of Corsair is incredibly impressive to behold. The color coordination is on point, but we also have a bunch of the Powerspec power supplies over here. I'll tell you, I've used many of these over the years. Super solid, again, a little bit more on the budget side of things, which is really helpful if you're not gonna build some crazy high-end system. We have ourselves some NZXT, we've got ourselves some MSI, some G-Skill, some of the tough gaming lineup over here. And if we continue over to this side, we're going to see some more of the accessories. So in addition to another whole aisle full of power supplies, because who has one aisle of power supplies when you can have 3? But here we're going to have some more of the accessory style things. So if you need some WD-40, you probably shouldn't use WD-40 on your PC build very often. I mean, I can't imagine why you would, but if you need it, it's here. Isopropyl alcohol, we've got contact cleaner, all kinds of stuff, anti-static bags, you've got yourself wrist straps, microfibers, you have a bunch of adapters to put SSDs into like a USB enclosure to build your own sort of setup there. Again, more power supplies on this side. We've got ourselves some more specific kind of adapters. So you got yourself things like you can run a SATA or IDE to a hard drive. You got yourself some individual racks if you wanted to actually put additional 3.5-inch hard drives in a case that's 5.25-inch bays. You got yourself some disk stations from Synology, some baby little like sort of NAS setups if you want to have some local storage that's running on your network. Got yourself some CPU coolers over on this side, and an enormous aisle of coolers. So, come this direction, you'll find Noctua. Noctua has been one of the biggest gold standards in the PC space for a long time. These fans and these cases and these, not cases, these fans and coolers are absolutely iconic. I've used them many, many times. You've got a good variety, including black, although brown is the move. If you're building Noctua, you should do it brown, but you know, live your best life, as long as you choose the classic. We got tons of thermal paste over here, as well as some more adapters. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. You could get a FireWire card. This is, I don't know the last time I needed FireWire. It's been a long time, but you can get it here. Actually, this is neat. I've actually looked over here too much. So you got yourself not only sound cards, you can do SATA. You can actually run your SATA ports through the back of your system. You've got an NVMe card that you can go into your PCI Express. You'll put it into an older system. Tons of sound blasters. You got yourself some DVD drives. You got yourself some Blu-ray drives. Shout out Blu-ray, still kicking it. We've got ourselves, oh, look at this. You got yourself the system blower. This thing is dope. So basically, you just put this in your PCI slot, and it would just be an additional Fox 1 guided missile. This has been around forever, but man, it's neat. USB fans, you've got yourself some clear fans, and if you come over to this direction, you'll find even more, including more cases, and we'll talk about this in a minute, more motherboards. So, for CPU coolers, obviously a lot of the air coolers are on that side, but here's where a lot of the all-in-one liquid coolers live. So you've got yourself a variety. You can go all the way up to these big 360mm coolers, which actually $100 for that is actually pretty solid. On this side, you'll see a lot of the fans. So this whole section is dedicated to Lee's Unifan. So I showed you that one in one of the systems over here. These are, well, certainly not cheap. Some of the most advanced fans you'll find, because a lot of these have not only RGB that works really well together, as well as cabling. We basically don't have to run cables to each individual fan. They all kind of gang together, and you'll have one little cable that comes out, or maybe two. But on top of that, a lot of these will actually have screens on them as well. They are about as flashy as it gets when it comes to PC parts. You'll see some other fans that are maybe not quite as fancy over on this direction, as well as even more all-in-one liquid coolers, including the ability to upgrade your older iCUE setup with an LCD. These are really popular. You can actually have an LCD on your pump, so that sort of main sort of part that goes on your motherboard and your CPU. If you want to have your CPU temperature or a GIF or whatever, these things are super, super useful. Alrighty, let's keep it on going with some more water cooling setups. So more all-in-one liquid coolers on this aisle, because of course you got to have multiple aisles of everything. You got to have the selection. But if you're a real enthusiast, this is going to be your playground. So if you're unfamiliar with the higher end of PC builds, you have a few options. You can go with an air cooler, which is actually one of my favorites because it's simple, it's reliable, very, very straightforward. You can go with an all-in-one liquid cooler, which is going to give you a little bit more headroom. It's going to be a little bit flashier. Or you can go all out with either a custom hardline or a custom softline, or really you could do all kinds of stuff. But basically, this is like sort of building your own water cooling. So instead of buying something like this, which just sort of hooks up and mounts and is all good, you're going to completely customize this. So you can go through and pick all of your different fittings. You can get yourself soft tubing. You can get yourself hardline tubing. You can see some of it is over here. We've got other options over on this side. You can get yourself your radiators. You can get yourself your water blocks, your syringes, your fittings. I mean, just everything. You can change the color of the liquid in your loops. This is one of those things where I've only done a few full custom loops in my day, they're a lot of work, right? It's not something you just sort of hook up. There's certainly maintenance involved. Like it's a whole thing. But I'll tell you that once you get it built, once you're able to custom cut and fit and just make the perfect setup that's, full of scarlet red liquid or whatever the case is, it is one of the most satisfying things to look at your PC. And while maybe you could have saved a bunch of time and money and just got something off the shelf, you don't have that sense of occasion that you did it yourself. So this is a spot where you can get all kinds of stuff. This is going to be fully customizable. One of the real advantages of coming to Micro Center. All right. So before we move on to the next aisle, let me point out the motherboards. So you're going to have a ton of options for motherboards when it comes to Micro Center. So you can see this entire wall is full of motherboards, so it's kind of split. So this is going to be the side with Intel. Down over on that side, you'll see your AMD, as well as you'll see your Intel and AMD CPUs. And this is, again, a wonderful spot for you to quickly take a glance at not only what the deals are, but also the variety of different boards. Now, a lot of options. A ton of options, but you can quickly, at a glance, take a look to see which boards have Wi-Fi 7. You can take a quick glance at, oh, here's something that's going to be maybe a little bit more affordable. Whatever the case is, you've got a ton of options here to choose from. Now, we'll take a look at CPUs in a second, but I want to take you down this aisle, which is full of hard drives and graphics cards, but mostly hard drives. So hard drives might not be the most popular thing in the world, but honestly, hard drives are still very useful, especially if you have a lot of large data and maybe you don't need to access it all that fast. You've got a bunch of Iron Wolf, Barracuda drives. Some of these are great for NAS, some of these are great for your desktop, or some of these are going to be good for something like just backups in your system. Now, there's this small sliver of Intel Arc GPUs on this side. Now, these are not the most popular, but bang for the buck, these are actually typically pretty solid. So you've got some of these here, although there's a lot more graphics cards over on this side. Again, hard drives. We got ourselves some crucial SSDs in this cabinet. These are obviously going to be significantly faster than your average hard drive, but full capacity, if you don't care, you just need 8 or 10 or 12 terabytes, SSDs are still more expensive than hard drives, which is why there's still a niche for both. Now, if we come this side, we're going to see some more Samsung SSDs, which are typically really quite good. And then this is just going to be a variety. So we've got Crucial, we've got SanDisk, we've got WD, we've got Inland, we've got more Samsung, just tons and tons of options. And again, I will give a shout out to Inland brand. That is the exclusive Micro Center brand. And typically these are going to be some of the best deals you will find on SSDs, period. All right, now we're coming to the fun part. This is where you'll find CPUs. So starting out with, we have our Intel sort of cabinets, you see, which are lovely and lit up in blue. So you can find your friendly local Micro Center associate to help you unlock this and pick out anything from yourself, a Core i5, an i7, an i9, all kinds of options here. If you come over to this side, you'll see a ton of options for AMD. So pretty much no matter what kind of PC you want to build, you're going to find the parts you need at Micro Center. And I will say that, there's a point a couple years ago where it was very difficult to get your hands on PC components. But you know where you would find them? Micro Center. So tons of options here. Everything from the crazy high-end Ryzen Threadripper Pro CPUs that are going to be a little bit expensive if you need a 64-core processor. If you need a 64-core processor, congratulations on being really important. But you can also get something that's a little bit more reasonable, like a Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 5 that will be great for gaming. That won't cost you a lot of money for 64 cores. So AMD options here, as well as a variety of the AMD motherboards that you might need for your build over on this side. You want to come over here, you're going to find RAM. So RAM, of course, is very important. So you've got yourself a good variety of stuff. You've got some cool things like the Trident Z Royal, which have the full RGB setup. These, I remember when they first came out a few years ago, I actually had a kit and I built a system with it. It's so flashy and blingy. Now it's like not that crazy because RGB RAM, you'll see there's a lot of options here that's RGB. But like, I remember when the Trident Z Royal came out, it was such a just like, it was a lot. Like you put that in your system, it was going to be a focal point. But you can see we've got the Corsair options, we've got Crucial, pretty much whatever kind of PC or even laptop memory, you can go ahead and find that right along here. Alrighty, coming along to this side, we're coming to graphics cards. So graphics cards are important for a gaming PC. And if you want the high-end stuff, well, I got you covered, my friends. The 4090s live in this shelf. So if you want the best of the best right now, well, it's going to be right here. You're going to pay for it, but hey, you know what? No one said that 4090s were cheap. And if they were, I would have a bunch of them, but I don't. We also have some of the regular graphics cards such as the 4080s, the 4070 Supers. As you can see here, as we come along, you'll have lower and lower end options. And I say that with quotes because we're still talking about very, very powerful cards. We're talking 4070 Ti's, 4060s. You also have some of the slightly more affordable GPUs on the top shelves here. So we've got 4060s, we've got 3060s, a good variety of stuff up and down this side. This is all going to be NVIDIA. Over on this side, we have our AMD GPUs. So you have a lot of options here, not only for gaming, but also you have some of the Radeon Pro cards for workstation use. And again, a large variety of stuff. Especially if you look all the way up to the top, you'll see some of the slightly more affordable options, all the way down to the high-end stuff, such as the RX 7900 XTX. Now, I do want to give a shout out to the other side of this aisle, which is some of the coolest selection of portable consoles and handhelds that I've ever seen at a microcenter. So you've got a full setup of switches. You've got Switch OLEDs, you've got Switch Lights, you've got actual games. A lot of microcenters will have some like consoles and switches, but like this is like a full setup here in Charlotte, including the TK drum. I don't know how you could go without a TK drum in your life, but Microcenter's got you covered. So you see a bunch of accessories. You've got yourself the cases and whatnot and screen protectors. And then this is more of the VR zone. So you'll see some cables and some accessories for them. But you also see the full VR headsets. So you got yourself PlayStation VR 2. You got the Vive Pro, as well as a bunch of things such as the Vive controllers and base stations and trackers. And you've got the Meta Quest side, which you got with the brand new Meta Quest 3. I say brand new, I guess it's been out for like a few months now. But Quest 3 is right here as well. So tons of options when it comes to VR, as well as you've got this end cap, which also has more with the Meta Quest 3. Alrighty, my friends, let's go into some of the more fun stuff. So, if you come down this direction, you'll see on this side we have a bunch of Xbox things. So we have ourselves controllers, we have ourselves controller stands. A lot of this stuff will work, pretty much all of it should work with both PC as well as with the Xbox itself. As well as you've got yourself some Xbox game drives, SSDs, PlayStation-specific SSDs, a couple of Xboxes in here, tons of PlayStation controllers. I mean, look, the list goes on and on and on. And there's a PSP cable? Wow, that's pretty cool. If you need to connect your PSP, you got a friend at Micro Center. Now, on this side, we've got a little bit more of a variety of different things. So these are going to be more like third-party controllers. So you got yourself, if you want a Sega Saturn gamepad, you want to show people that you're a sophisticated gamer with taste, you can play with a Saturn gamepad. You got yourself some of the more retro, like sort of consoles and whatnot. You got grip tape, GameCube controller adapters. And if you come over to this side, this is where it comes to some more of the simulators. So there have been a lot of adjustments and evolutions with Micro Center over the years. There's always going to be like the new thing that's going to become more popular. And sim, whether it's racing, flying, what have you, has become very, very popular. So you've got a lot of options. So if you want to get yourself a Boeing yoke or you want yourself an Airbus side stick, they got you covered, as well as a bunch of other stuff here, including we've got ourselves some of the instrument panels and radio panels and flight switches. I mean, look, you can go incredibly deep on this stuff. But personally for me, I love the racing side of things. So starting out with here, we've got down this aisle some of the more simple, straightforward things. So you have the classic, like the Thrustmaster T248. It's been around for a while, as well as the T80. These are wheels and pedal sets that are really designed for console. Some of them work for PC, but they're meant to be sort of more plug and play. Now, there's some more accessories on this side, but if we come over here, you'll start to see where it gets serious. So a lot of these wheels are very good, very impressive, but as you go up the price points, you're going to get a whole lot more fidelity when it comes to your simulator setup. And that's something that I'm always incredibly excited about. So I've actually done a couple of racing simulator setups on Micro Center over the years, and they have gotten incredible. So if you come over to this side, this is where it gets serious, my friends. So you can fully customize stuff. So you've got everything from direct drive wheels, you've got yourself shifters, handbrakes, you got yourself a full GT3 Cup console. You want the authentic buttons off a real Porsche race car, the direct drive bases, the sprint pedals, it gets wild. And especially if you come over to this side, where you'll find yourself not only one, but two full racing simulator setups. And I'll tell you, if you've never tried a legit sim, like it's always great. If you've got a wheel and pedals and stuff, that's cool. But there's a difference between like a basic like PlayStation or Xbox sort of wheel and pedals and this. So let me show you real quick. So we actually have done a video building something kind of similar to this. So there's a lot of individual pieces when it comes to building yourself a simulator setup. So it can be as complicated or simple as you'd like. So you've got everything from the wheel as well as the drive. So this is actually the motor that runs the wheel. You've got yourself this entire chassis, which is what everything is mounted to. This is one of the Tony Kanaan seats. Tony Kanaan actually has a really good partnership with Micro Center. I was actually out in Indianapolis at the Indy store, which opened last year, and he's got a great partnership. Very popular. We've got all kinds of stuff there. We've also got these pedals. We've got ourselves, of course, a PC to run it all, our triple displays, and let's try to race at Auto Club Speedway. Rest in peace, Auto Club Speedway. All right. I got the need for speed. Let's go. Whoa. All right, I'll go a little easier. Oh, it wants me to reset. I got too excited. Okay, fine. I'll do it again. Got the need for speed. All right. Time to live my best NASCAR dreams. So what's cool about this is that there's an incredible level of force feedback. So the wheel is giving me such sort of feedback as far as what's going on the road. And as I sort of accelerate out of this corner, it is as if I'm at the real track. You can hear the V8. All right, let's send it. Woo, okay. It is so immersive. I got drive-through penalty. I don't care, I'm going, let's go. All right, let's get down, get low. Oh, we're washing up, No, get down. All right, yeah. Let's go. If you ain't first, you're last. And we send it. Oh, get down. Oh, no, not like that. Let's go, push it. All the way out, all the way wide. And then, of course, in true fashion, donuts. Donuts are hard. Anyway, sorry, was that racing simulator setups are super fun, really cool, and in Micro Center you got not one but two different setups to try. Now on top of that, if you come over here, you've got this incredibly cool wall full of wheels. So everything from like a truck style wheel with like real turn signals on it, all the way to old school racing wheels like this Tony Kanaan, very simple classic setup, to something that's much more like Formula One inspired or GT racing. I mean, look, if you really get into this stuff, it is wild at the depth of things that you can really choose. But if you want to build yourself a simulator setup, Micro Center is a great place to come because you've got all kinds of options when it comes to not only the rigs, the pedals, the wheels, like you name it, you're going to be able to find it here at Micro Center. Micro Center is also the home of some lovely gaming chairs. If you want a nice comfy spot to sit while you're winning or working or pretending to work or wishing you were winning, well, Micro Center's got you covered. There's also a bunch of other things, including, of course, chair mats. We've got ourselves a bunch more stuff specifically for like monitor mounts and whatnot if you're trying to build yourself a really cool simulator setup. But if we move on from this section, we've got a bunch of really cool keyboards. So the accessories side of Micro Center is also quite impressive. Now, if we walk over to this direction, you'll see there are a lot more of the simpler, basic kind of keyboards. So if you want something that's a little bit more for like office use or wireless, you've got some of those over here. If you come over to this direction, what you'll see is a bunch more of the, enthusiast keyboard stuff. So you've got a lot of the GMMK Pros. We actually come over and I didn't realize there's plastic in front of that. Theoretically, you could type. Maybe you try this one instead, and you can pretend to touch these. So these are really meant for you to build a keyboard or customize it yourself. So you've got everything from the individual switches, you've got keycaps, you've got bare bones keyboards, you've got yourself the full Panda setup, you've got a ton of other keycaps here. I mean, there's a lot of options. And if we come over to this direction, you'll see even more. So in addition to some more of the like wireless keyboards, you know, the normal, the simpler kind of stuff, you've got a ton of different options as we come down this direction. So we'll come down over there in a second, but I want to actually show you some of the mice. Now, if you want a mouse, I could not even begin to try to guess at how many there are. You got everything from mice, spotlight remotes, you got yourself trackballs and trackballs and trackballs. And while I don't use a trackball, I know a lot of people really get a lot of use out of that, especially because it's super, super convenient. You've got yourself the Cherry wireless ergonomic mouse, which is a real vertical mouse that is vertical. What? A left-handed mouse? Why would you be a left-handed mouse? I don't want a left-handed mouse. Get that out of here. I use right-handed mice. But yeah, if you want to use a left hand or a trackball, it's a wide variety of things. I didn't understand what you were saying with the left hand. I'm like, left hand? I'm a right-handed boy. So you can actually try some of the mice here, so including these ergonomic mice. Again, I think a lot of people have different tastes in mice, and I know a lot of people enjoy those ergonomic mice or the trackballs or whatnot. I like the good old MX Master 3S. I'm trying to get some work done, but to each their own. We've got ourselves some Corsair mice right here, as well as another couple of aisles full of things. So we've got our Pulsar mice right here. And again, some of these are actually out, so you can try them. Get a little sense for what the click sounds like and whatnot, some of the more themed options, as well as I always like these glorious mice. So we've got ourselves the Model D, we've got ourselves the Model I, Model O, tons and tons of options here. These are very lightweight gaming mice. We have a bunch of additional gaming mice from companies such as SteelSeries, MSI, Red Dragon, you name it. Coming over to this side, you'll see more of those enthusiast keyboards that I was talking about. And these do not have plastic over the top, so you can, ooh, that's actually pretty nice. Wow. Well, that feels pretty good. How about this one? Ooh, that's different. How about this one? Ooh. Or, keyboards, as I'm sure you're aware, is a hobby, an enthusiast sort of setup where you can go wildly deep. And I think this is actually a really good point for why coming into a microcenter is helpful. You can get a real sense of the enthusiast mindset of the company. There are a lot of places you can buy tech, but there are very few places that you can come to this level of enthusiast tech, this level of customization, this level of just finding whatever it is that your heart desires. Micro Center's got you covered, and I think that's one of the things that really separates Micro Center from other places, just because you've got such a deep knowledge from the associates, and also such a deep variety of inventory of everything from a simple Red Dragon keyboard all the way up to, well, okay, well, this is a scanner, so maybe that's not a keyboard, but it's also something that you can find enthusiasts for the Adesso NewScan 8200U. I heard that was a particularly impressive 120 hertz scanner. I didn't know that scanners had hertz, but apparently they do. And this is where you can find those, but also, you know, there's keyboards and things that I would actually use over on this side. Coming over here, we got ourselves some more accessories for keyboards. So you can get yourself some keycaps, you can get yourself some more specific Razer switches and Gateron switches, and you get a bunch of the actual setups. So you get yourself your switch lube sets, and I'll tell you, if you're building a full custom keyboard, you actually lubing your switches makes a big deal. I've done it before. It sounds kind of silly, but it makes a real difference. You got yourself some more bare bones keyboards. This is actually dope. This is a full clear setup with the 75%. That's nice. And if we come over on this side, you'll see some more of the Asus and ROG options. So you got yourself the tough gaming headset, the mice, that kind of thing over here. And if we come our way over to this side, we've got ourselves not only additional keyboards, but we also have a bit of a variety of some of the ROG stuff. So I'll tell you that some of these, really quite nice. And then we've also got Logitech. So you've got a ton of options, everything from their mice, which are very popular, headsets, keyboards, a bunch of additional keyboards over here, some of which you can click, clack away and see how they feel. And we come over to this side, you're gonna see more of the Logitech stuff, including the Blue mics. So Blue mics is actually owned by Logitech now. So that's sort of being integrated into the portfolio. And they have another sort of end cap over here. Again, you can try headsets. You can try their very, very stylish G305. I don't know why, I just like that colorway. Or this one. This just looks like something that's like straight out of 1995, and I approve. Now, if we hop over our variety of 99-cent microfibers, I don't know, microfibers are really good. We've got Razer. There is a whole lot of options when it comes to Razer. So you can see that we have a very nice lit display where we can really kind of test a bunch of the individual mice, whether the depth adders, whether the actual controllers, which have these super nice clicky D-pads on them. Tons of options here. You've also got additional sort of white accessories if you want something that's not quite as gamery, so you can get their Pro-type keyboards with this very soft wrist rest and the matching headset and mice. You can come over to this side where you can get the pink options, especially really popular with streamers or someone who just wants a little bit of extra flair with their setup. And then we've got ourselves the Kraken Kitty, which is the most popular set of kitty headphones that I've ever worn. So if you really want to show off to the world just how cool you really are, well, you can get the OG kitty headphones, or you can get like some regular ones, but that's the move. Over here, we've got some more keyboards. Just sensing a theme here. There's a lot of Razer stuff here. So headsets, keyboards, mice. You got yourself all kinds of stuff. MMO pads if you're into that. We got some SteelSeries gear here, as well as, again, I love it anytime you've got the keyboards out on display. You can quickly get a sense for what exactly makes each of the keyboards unique. This is another aisle full of headsets. Now we have Sony InZone and Corsair. We also have HyperX. If we come this direction, you'll see beyond these HyperX headsets that are on the actual end cap, more of the consumer audio. So you've got Soundcore headphones, and over the side, I would say is much more a traditional, not so much gaming headsets. I mean, yes, you can use some of these, but like you got stuff like these Sony 1000X Mark Vs, which are some of the best over-ear headphones with excellent noise cancellation that you'll find pretty much anywhere. Tons of options here, as well as some more gaming stuff, including SteelSeries, Turtle Beach, not Steel Beach. That doesn't exist. Steel Beach is a real place, not Steel Beach. Now, this is one of the things that is just my favorite ridiculous thing. Look at how many desk mats and mouse pads there are. It starts from here and it goes all the way down there. Just look at this. Look at how many there are. I'm not sure how many people need this many mouse pads, but guess what? They got you covered. You need RGB? Boom. You need yourself a huge desk mat? Boom. You need yourself a kitty? Well, we got you covered. It is just so many options. It's almost overwhelming. So we got a lot of other things here, including more of the audio stuff. You get yourself a Sony Walkman. Yeah, those still exist. You got one right here. A bunch more of like earbuds and whatnot, including the InZone buds, which I still never tried, but I want to try. Some of the Beats. We've got ourselves JBLs. I mean, the list goes on and on. This is going to be a little bit more on the audio side. So you've got yourself audio recorders. Again, another Walkman. I love that these are still a thing. That's actually really cool. You've got yourself better audio recorders. Man, I just feel like the longer I spend in here, the more I'm just like, oh, and there's this. Oh, and there's that. Oh, and there's this. It's just ridiculous. Look how many individual earbuds you've got. I mean, you don't think about normally like audio as being like this huge deal at Micro Center, but there are aisles and aisles and aisles of options of everything from earbuds to gaming headsets and everything in between. Alrighty, we come over here. We've almost looped back around. So this is going to be the Sonos display. Sonos has really been sort of upping their game lately. There's tons of options, and the way the whole ecosystem works is really quite impressive. And last but not least, we've got ourselves your 3D sleep mask headphones. I've actually tried these before. They're actually kind of cool. They work as a sleep mask and as Bluetooth headphones. That's a lot of audio. Come this direction, we're going to skip by this. We'll be back over here in just a minute. You'll see that there's a large variety of different things when it comes to Raspberry Pis. Now, if you're not familiar, Raspberry Pis are little tinkering computers. So they run typically a version of Linux, and they're really great for hobbyists because you can do so much with them. And Micro Center, surprise, surprise, has a good variety. So if you come over to this side, you'll see that there's an entire little display full of them. So not only do you have the latest Raspberry Pi 5, but you also have all the accessories. So you got everything from the Pi Zero, you've got yourself the Model 4, and you've got yourself all kinds of cool things such as cameras that you can connect. You've got yourself a mouse. You've got yourself all kinds of bits and bobs, including a Raspberry Pi over here, and you can actually try it out. Now, these are obviously quite low-powered PCs, but they are actual computers, and the amount of things that you can do with the Raspberry Pi is absolutely wild. This is the latest version. This is the Raspberry Pi 5. Has all kinds of cool features. You've even got yourself custom Raspberry Pi silicon. It is an incredibly popular thing. And if you come over here, you'll see even more. I mean, it's just the ecosystem of Raspberry Pi is wild. I mean, they've really just evolved so much. And for as little as $11.99, you can come and get yourself a Raspberry Pi Zero 2. It's really neat. Networking. It's an important thing to do in life, and it's an important thing to do to make sure devices stay connected. So this would be the Unify setup, which are really, really excellent Wi-Fi modules. We actually have them at the office. They're terrific. They work really well together. Tons of different access points here. You also got yourself switches and all kinds of stuff. This is pretty much all ubiquity on this side. We've got a bunch of Ethernet switches up top, and oh, good Lord, there's so many individual switches. So if you want anything from something basic, like a bunch of 1 gig ports, all the way up to 2, 5, 10 gigabit right here. If you need some super fast networking, you're gonna find tons of this. And again, this is one of those things that, like, yes, you don't always need a 8-port 10 gigabit switch, but when you need one, you really need one. And being able to come down to your local microcenter and pick something like this up is super valuable. Come over here, we're gonna see more of the Wi-Fi side of things. So you got yourself the Amplify Alien. This is actually the router that I use at home. So maybe a little bit on the older side now. I think it's been out for maybe 3 or 4 years. So it's still Wi-Fi 6, but honestly, it's still one of my favorite routers I've ever used. You've also got yourself a couple of other like power over Ethernet adapters and whatnot, and a bunch of more traditional routers. So you've got yourself the Nighthawks, you've got yourself the Orbeez if you want a bit of a mesh setup. Tons of options, and if you want to go really over the top, you can get yourself the latest Wi-Fi 7 gear. Now, obviously, you can go with a quad band setup and Wi-Fi 7. It's gonna be a little bit pricey, but this is gonna give you some incredible speed, especially if you have like a multi-gigabit connection or something. That is where it gets really, really high end. Now, this is back to sort of more standard routers, so these are gonna be a little bit more on the affordable side. If you don't have like a huge house, like a regular apartment, these are going to be fine. Additional ports, switches, and a ton more switches, including stuff like this, which is a 2.5 gigabit switch, which is actually really quite nice for a lot of sort of setups. You want a little bit of extra speed, and a lot of desktops actually do support 2.5 gigabits now. More modems on this side, as well as some Eros and some actual adapters. So if you want to, say, get yourself a 2.5 gig adapter, you want to get yourself a dual USB wireless adapter, internal, external, you name it. Little guys, big guys, fast, faster, fastest, it's all here. It's almost ridiculous at how many options there are here. I mean, it's just aisles and aisles and aisles of this. These are ceiling mounts, these are exterior mounts. You got yourself internal cards, all kinds of options, not only with Bluetooth, but with Ethernet, with Bluetooth 5.4, that's the number I was looking for, Wi-Fi 6, gaming routers, and again, if you come over to the end cap, you got some of the Wi-Fi 7 stuff, which is, again, very, very fast. I mean, these things are huge, powerful, and incredibly, incredibly cool. And then we've got some more of the consumer things, which are going to be Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E, and you got more of the Zen as well as the mesh lineup. And the big guy up here, which is going to be the Rapture ROG router. Alrighty, now we come over here, you'll see some more cable modems on this direction, but if you come over here, this is where you're gonna find a lot more of the accessories. So these are the kind of things that you're going to need really badly some days. Microcenter is the spot to find it. So, all kinds of fun stuff. So you've got everything from KVM switches on this side, you got USB hubs, you got yourself a huge number of Cat 6 and Cat 5 patch cables. So you need a little 3-foot cable, or 1 foot or 25 foot, or if you need 500 foot of Cat 6, this is the spot to find it. We have had to run a ton of Ethernet through our office, and I will tell you that when I realized that I needed 100 1-foot cables and didn't realize it, I came in here, I was like, and just absolutely scooped it up. But this is a spot where you're gonna find all kinds of things that you might not have even realized was a thing. So obviously, Cat 6, Cat 6, Cat 6, I mean, just tons of Ethernet up and down here. But this is where you're actually be able to get into a little bit more of the customization of things. So you can actually get yourself patch panels patch ports. You can get yourself some more routers actually on the top. I didn't even realize there's even more over here. And this is going to be actually like wall plates. So this is really meant for more so if you're actually going to be like building out a space, you're doing some really custom stuff. You're gonna actually have like your actual jacks themselves. You're gonna have the crimpers and all kinds of stuff. I mean, this is like proper stuff if you want to really do it yourself, which again, is something microcenter is great for. You've got a lot of enthusiast options that not everyone's gonna want to use a cable stripper and build their own Ethernet cables from scratch. But you know what? If you want to put the ends of the connectors on, you can absolutely do that. You can test it. You got more Ethernet adapters, serial. You got phone cables. When's the last time you saw a phone cable? Well, guess what? There's one right here. You got fiber optic cables. I don't even know how to begin on where I would need to put a fiber optic cable that can go up to 100 gigabytes, but that's where that is. Oh man, these are the aisles that I walk down and I'm just like blown away with just the wide variety of stuff. We've got soldering irons here. This is going to be more stuff specifically for Raspberry Pi and Arduino. Arduinos are sort of similar to Raspberry Pis. They're little computers that you can use for like projects and whatnot. So all kinds of stuff over here, as well as we've got more specific Raspberry Pi stuff on this side. So depending on what you want to do, you may want to put it in a little case. You may want to sort of mount it on something. You may want a little Ethernet hat. It is just absolutely ridiculous. Headphone amps? Dude, I didn't even know half of this stuff was a thing. Aluminum heat sinks for your Raspberry Pi. It just goes on and on and on. Man, I have not seen half of this before. You can get a holder for D-cell batteries? What? This is ridiculous. I don't even know why you need that. But I guess if you need it, you really need it. Man, this is great. Electric motors. So this is really the hobbyist zone, right? This is one of the spots where you can come to tinker, to build, to buy switches and cables and all the kind of bits and bobs that you could ever ask for. IR, you got yourself terminal Bluetooth adapters, you got yourself heat shrink tubing, you've got, look at all this, absolutely wild. If you want to do some soldering, if you want to go ahead and pull yourself out, actually a wide variety of different soldering irons, hot air stations, magnifiers. Whew, it's ridiculous. Now this is quite literally the fun aisle, so you'll find things such as Legos. So yeah, microcenter actually sell toys. Now of course there's a bunch of other tools here, so specifically you want to tinker, you can get all kinds of individual tools and bits and bobs, but these are everything from like Lego Harry Potter stuff all the way to board games and whatnot. Now this is probably not the main spot you're gonna find your board games, but the fact that you can find board games and all this kind of stuff at microcenter is really cool. It's just such a variety of stuff. You got knives, you got multifunction tools, you've got yourself super magnets, which are appropriately stuck together because of course they are, because they're magnetically attached. That's just kind of cool. You got drivers, you got picks, you got files, opening tools from iFixit, which are actually really helpful because you can help to pop stuff open. I use those absolutely all the time. In fact, we're shooting a video tomorrow. We're gonna need half of these things to build some, don't tell people, I'm gonna build some stuff. Super glue, I won't be using that tomorrow. We've got puzzle by number. So if you'd like to build yourself a map of the United States and you can remember what color all the states are, apparently that seems super useful. You got chutes and ladder. You can even build a little model plane. What? And model airship too. I mean battleship. That's so cool. I didn't even know. You got flashlights. You've got yourself the little arcade cabinets, the little retro guys over on this side. You've got yourself a pinball machine. Tons and tons and tons of stuff. You can even get yourself a set of dice. You get a D20. Man, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Now I'm getting lost. There's so much stuff in microcenter I can't even keep track of where I am. This is where I am. Printer stuff. Now, ink is really important. If you've ever used a printer, you'll know that it loves to go through ink. Well, boy oh boy, have I got the aisle for you. We've got every kind of ink and toner cartridge you could ever ask for. I mean, it's honestly, I don't even know what to say. This is all Epson. This is every kind of version of Epson ink I think I've ever seen. These are all the individual bits of paper if you want to make sure that you get the high quality bright white. Wild. And you've also got yourself a number of different photo papers. You've got yourself all kinds of individual matte white rectangular tags, and just all kinds of stuff. So this feels like a really good spot if you need to find your office supplies and make sure that your whole printing setup is kept tip-top shape. Man, it is so much over here. Now, if I want to come over to this side, what you're going to find is a few more things. He almost escaped. He tried to escape out the back. He couldn't do it. This is an aisle full of some more interesting things, such as organizers for your cables, including this little Herschel setup. You also have a surprisingly decent number of backpacks and laptop bags, as well as some of the more interesting things. So you've got yourself a stress ball when you're in microcenter for 3 hours shooting a full store tutorial. Stress balls, I could just tell you, are really helpful. You've got yourself cooling stands. You've got yourself even like a massage gun. Microcenter sell massage guns? Wow, that's actually really helpful. That feels like I might want to use that in a little bit. You get yourself some more laptop bags over on this side. What else are we going to find here? Magnetic clips, more docking stations. Actually, this is interesting. So this is going to be a lot of your Thunderbolt docks and USB-C docks. So you see you got a ton of options here. Everything from Razer options, OWC. I actually use one of those OWCs at the office. More and more backpacks, including Herschel and HyperX, and more USB hubs. So some of these are obviously in the Apple section, but also there's a ton of them over here. You got yourself universal adapters. These are super useful if you have a bunch of older laptops. It'll come with pretty much every plug you could ever ask for, so you'll be able to make sure that you can power up pretty much whatever you want. And that, my friends, is a look at the inside of Microcenter. But there's a whole other section of the store. You thought we were done? We're just getting started. Over on this side, you're going to find the tablets. So again, you'll have iPads just like you have in the Apple section over here, but you also have a bunch of other options, including Lenovo tablets. You got yourself Samsung. You've even got yourself some Kindles. Over on this side, you'll find some more of the accessories, including stuff like for the car mounts and whatnot. And you'll find yourself some individual cases and like AirTag straps and whatnot. You got yourself smartwatches on this side, as well as a wide variety of different phones. So you got everything from like Nokia feature phones to Samsung Galaxy devices. You got yourself iPhones, and you can look down here. Now we have some options for refurbished, so it's actually really cool. But obviously, refurbished phones are incredibly popular, but it is really rare to find a refurbished phone in an actual physical store. But you can see right here, I can find myself an iPhone 11 in C grade or an iPhone. Well, that one is the iPhone. It's a smartphone. I'm not sure which one that is. It doesn't say unless I looked inside, but I'm sure I could ask a very friendly associate to help me out finding my mystery certified smartphone of some kind. So tons and tons of options here. There's additional stuff over on this side, including lots of charging accessories. So everything from a cassette adapter for your phone, which I will still say is absolute magic. I don't understand how you can plug an aux into this and it makes cassette noises, but it works. It's cool. And then you got a ton of individual like power banks and whatnot, including some of the stuff like from Anker. A big fan of their like 733 series. It's really high quality, tons and tons of performance. And then if we come over to this side, we've got ourselves even more charging. So you've got some of the GaN prime chargers. So these are really nice, as well as you've got the regular Anker like power cores and whatnot. You've got yourself cables. So you've got everything from like heavy duty like lightning cables. You've got USB-A to lightning. You've got yourself USB-C to C. Charging cables, of course you can look for data cables. Everything is going to be here. And this is a little bit of an unusual one. So this is like for like high-end like office work and whatnot. So this is actually a PTZ camera, so it's a remote control camera. And this is the controller for it. So if you want to actually be like live switching between cameras and like sort of like rotating them around, this is the kind of setup that you would use. But if you want to look at cameras, come over this way, my friends. One of my favorite parts of Microcenter, one of my many favorite parts, is going to be the creator aisle. So this is a spot where you will find all kinds of gear. I mean, you can look up and see they've got lights mounted on the ceiling. You get yourself obviously stuff like ring lights, which are great, but then you've got the really professional stuff. This is an area again of Microcenter that's really expanded over the last several years. So if you want to get into music, you get yourself like MIDI controllers and like all kinds of stuff. Like I'm not going to pretend that I'm musically inclined in any way except for karaoke when I am convinced to not turn the reverb up really high so I can't hear myself all that much. But you got a lot of options here. You've got yourself mixers. You also have yourself a bunch of additional lights and whatnot. So a pretty wide variety of stuff. Everything from like really basic sort of video lights you can like mount on your phone to, again, full actual setups. We're actually doing a video very shortly on my channel where we're going to be building an entire couple of setups, a very affordable one and a very sort of pro one, all using gear from Microcenter. Speaking of gear from Microcenter, microphones. Now, little secret, if you're into video, you can get away with like somewhat sort of questionable looking video if your audio is good. Audio is incredibly important, and you'll see that there are a ton of different mics here. So everything from sort of a little bit more basic and simple stuff like the Audio Technica AT2020, something I've used many times in the past, all the way up to something like the SM7B. This is a microphone you've probably seen on every YouTube podcast ever. We use them all the time. They're expensive, but they sound terrific. Now, speaking of sounding terrific, you do want to generally look pretty good, and that is where you're going to find cameras. So down here you'll find webcams. Obviously webcams are simple, plug and play and great, but you can come over here to find the real professional cameras. So not only do you have the Sony line, you also have the Canon lines, but if we continue on over to here, you'll see they actually have some real professional stuff up here. So not only do you have all kinds of Sony gear and Canon gear, but on this side you actually have Blackmagic. You have the Pocket 6K. You get yourself the Blackmagic Studio camera, which is something that, like, it's crazy that that's in a Microcenter. You also have all the DeckLink stuff, so you can put these inside your actual computer and run a bunch of like HDMIs into them. It is really wild at the level of stuff, because like normally if you want to get for like the really professional camera stuff, you're going to go to like a dedicated camera store. But if you're a creator, you can come to Microcenter and find a very large variety of this, as well as lenses and whatnot. And you've also got the DJI section. I'll say there's a lot of stuff in this DJI section we use all the time. I use these DJI mics literally like almost daily. I have those mics that live in my bag all the time. We shoot on the DJI Mini 4 Pro drone all the time. The Pocket 3, absolutely an amazing camera. We use that all the time too. There's all kinds of really cool stuff in here, including we got ourselves some studio monitors, shock mounts, more headphones. These are a little bit more meant for like being a studio monitor. So stuff like the ATH M40Xs, you've got the M50s, you got yourself the Sonys, you got a lot of stuff that's going to be very, very popular. We've got some GoPros over here, but like I will tell you that like the creator section of Microcenter has become a very, very good place to be if you're a creator, because finding camera gear, finding lighting gear, finding this stuff, and especially finding it locally so you don't have to wait for shipping or whatever. You can just come to the store and pick up whatever you want. It is so, so valuable. Alrighty, let's continue on with some more camera gear, shall we? Now this is going to be a little more on the accessories side. So we're talking about like camera pouches and gears, tripod. We've got ourselves additional lights. These are a little bit more like smaller things that are typically meant to be used with like your phone and whatnot. You've got bounces, lens caps, batteries. I'll tell you, we've been in Microcenter in the past shooting, and we realized that we were out of battery and we didn't have time to continue to charge. So we literally were able to come and pull a battery off the shelf, put it in our camera, and keep going. I'll tell you, it's really, really helpful sometimes. Now, this is where you'll find some software. So you'll not only be able to find things such as Norton antivirus and whatnot, you can also find out about, I don't know, C++ All-in-One, the 4th edition. I should finish reading this tonight. It's only 700 pages to go. I like how you can learn how to learn languages. You can learn C++ or Spanish, both of which are important languages that you should probably learn. One of which is slightly more popular than the other. We got ourselves a bunch of CDs, DVDs. We've got ourselves library cases. I'm wondering, what else? Actually, you know what? We've got ourselves Thunderbolt card readers. Oh, here we go. We got Blu-rays too. So you can pretty much burn any kind of disc that you want, which, you know, it's funny. You feel like, oh, haha, CDs, whatever. But when you need to burn a CD or we need to like find a CD drive, it's actually sometimes kind of hard, but you still got a lot of options here, including Blu-rays, which is cool. We've got more hard drives. So these are a little bit more basic things. So, you know, you can plug them into your system. Hard drives, SSDs, that kind of thing. You got a little like RAID setup here with a couple of 4 terabyte drives inside. Card readers if you want to read all kinds of media, and tons of USB stuff on this side. So lots of Microcenter USBs, SanDisks. We've got ourselves tons of Seagate drives as well as WD. And this is really a good spot where you can not only find lots of USBs, but also you can find lots of SD cards. So again, if you're filming stuff, you're probably going to want to find stuff like a good old SanDisk SD card, or 512 gig, micro SD, you name it, it's going to be over here. And these are more of like the SSDs, which if you're getting a portable drive, SSDs are really, really good. So let's see if I can find, this is the one I use, the Samsung T7 Shield. That's a really fast SSD. It always lives in my bag, and the Shield version is quite durable, so you don't really have to worry about it. I've like dropped mine and beat up a bunch. It's really, really quite solid, but there's also a bunch of other Samsung and other sort of portable SSDs. Alrighty, let's keep on going. We're almost there. Almost there. So this is going to be a little bit more like the electrical side of things. So you'll find UPSs, which are a very good idea to run. You should have your system plugged into a surge protector, of course, but having a battery backup in case you have like a power surge or something, really, really nice. There's a wide variety of these things, even from like basic stuff, they'll just help a little bit, all the way up to like proper, like actual, like real battery backups that you can use for your server or whatever. Honestly, these are low-key, like really important. You should probably have one of these, just saying. Surge protectors, though, are a good step so that you're not just plugging directly in the wall. So there's a number of these power strips and whatnot. And as you can see here, some of these cyber power, like UPSs, are quite beefy and quite powerful. We have some of these that are actually designed for our servers, some of the slightly larger ones that are actually rack mounted. You'll find a bunch of like power adapters and like cables and some of the big power strips, which are really nice when you're trying to run a bunch of cables underneath like a desk or something. And again, tons of UPSs here, tons of power stuff, really pretty much everything you're gonna need to keep your gear running. Alrighty, my friends, let's keep it moving, shall we? So over on this side, you're gonna find a little bit more of office gear. So you're gonna find like paper shredders, you're gonna find replacement batteries, which is actually really nice. So if you actually want to replace the battery in your existing laptop, odds are you'll be able to find a laptop right here. And depending on what your setup is, you might be able to either pop it in or maybe you have to open up the bottom, but you'll find the batteries, which is really important for repairability. Lots of USB cables, so some of these are a little bit on the older side, so you'll find like USB 2, you'll find like micro USB and mini USB and C to C. So while that other aisle had a lot of like power cables, this is where you're gonna find a lot of data cables. So you'll see that these are gonna be good for like 100 watts of charging. See, some of these are gonna be good for USB C to C and USB C to C as well, and 10 foot and 20 foot and 3 foot and 6 foot and all kinds of stuff. Again, this side is much more about the office side, so you got like microfibers and like durable ring binders and whatnot. But if you need stuff like a USB-C to DisplayPort, which I'll tell you is actually a really helpful cable, this is your spot. It's absolutely just full of HDMI adapters and DisplayPort adapters, Type-C, firewire cable with LEDs? What? That is actually really cool. I don't know when the last time someone needed an LED firewire cable, but boy, you know what? That's a thing. You're not gonna find that anywhere else, I'll tell you that. You get yourself air dusters. Hey, when was the last time you cleaned up your keyboard? It's a perfect way to do it. Keyboard's probably gross. You should really clean that thing. Just blow it out, turn off your system, take a look. You get yourself radios, you get yourself weather radios, clock radios, lots and lots of stuff. Over on this side, what are we gonna find here? Even more cables. So these are all DisplayPort cables, HDMI. You get yourself audio. Again, the cable side is something that's like really important because like so often, you know, you'll be like setting something up, and you've like misplaced a cable, you're building a new setup, and you'll need some weird obscure cable. And it can sometimes be really hard to find, you know, like lots of places will sell you an HDMI cable. Not a lot of places will sell you a DisplayPort to VGA adapter or a DVI to DisplayPort adapter or mini DisplayPort or whatever the case is. Like these cables, when you need them, you really need them. Toslink, XLR, which actually XLR is a very professional audio interface. You might want to use this with some of the gear in the creator section. You get yourself some more like cable management accessories and organizers and whatnot, coax. I mean, man, it just goes on and on and on. Velcro. You get yourself even more adapters. That seems like too many adapters, but you know what? There's no such thing because you might think, oh, it's whatever, and then you'll need it. And you realize that you can't do 8K over HDMI if you got the wrong cable. Not a microcenter because it's going to tell you everything you need to know. Last but certainly not least, we're here at the online order pickup. So of course, you're more than welcome to walk through the store and pick out whatever you'd like, but if you'd like to order ahead online, you can come pick it up right here. And that, my friends, has been a tour of the brand new Microcenter Charlotte store. As you can see, it is an absolute wonderland of tech. Whether you want to build your PC, whether you need help from an associate when it comes to some advice or fixing your existing system, whether you want to build some Legos, build a creator setup, upgrade your audio setup. I mean, it is almost unreal the amount of stuff that is here at this store. And of course, this being the most brand new recent Microcenter, there's a huge variety of stuff here, as well as all the latest updates in the tech, the registers, like the whole setup is absolutely mint. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you have a chance to come and check out the Charlotte store or any number of other Microcenters that are all spread out throughout the US. And stay tuned. I've heard that there might be even more stores coming soon. Although I know the number one question is, hey, can I have a Microcenter in my store, in my city? everywhere in the whole world. I don't think that's really possible, but I can tell you there are more micro centers. Charlotte's newest one, but stay tuned. There's even more coming. Also, thanks for watching this video. And this was very long, but hopefully you enjoyed this tour. I will see you on the next one.